Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Embarrassing Stories. First up we have TIFU by trying to use a clearly expired hair gel by Famintar1. I, 35 male, have unfortunately suffered from hair thinning around the crown area. Me too, but thankfully it's just slightly thinning. I think I get away with it. Which I have come to accept and live with for years now. It's not horrendous at all, but it is noticeably thinning that I can barely see my scalp. However, as long as I comb over my hair, it will still look like I have thick hair. However, I'm too lazy to use hair products to keep my hair steady in the morning. I just style my hair using a comb and went about my day. If I'm outside, my hair is at the mercy of Mother Nature's wind blowing, but it is what it is. Today I feel particularly motivated to at least keep my hair steady, as I will be playing pickleball after work, and I would like my hair to not be in my way. However, since I rarely used any hair products, I never bought one. Instead, I just use any random hair gel I found in the vanity. However, I had just gotten my bathroom remodeled, and all of the stuff in the vanity has been moved elsewhere, so I can't even remember. Instead of the usual hair gel that I would use, I randomly found a tube of hair gel that I don't even remember purchasing. But it's hair gel, so off I went. The moment I squeezed it out, I started to have a strange feeling that something was wrong with this hair gel. It didn't come out normally, the way any other tube would. Instead, it felt like snot, and I literally had to pull the end of the gel from the tube to separate it. It's opaque, but viscous, and consists of a white cheese-like stuff inside. I'm not going to say it, but I'm sure y'all know what it looks like. White cheese, perfectly fine description. My ignorance decides to rub it all over the palm of my hand to prepare for the application, until I smelled something bad. Awful, even. Now, I don't have a weak stomach by any means. My gag reflex is practically impenetrable. That's what she said, but whatever. But this smell made me cringe. I started to wonder where this weird smell comes from. My mind thought that maybe it's a sewer smell that comes out of the toilet or the shower drain. That shouldn't actually happen, though. I know it can, but it shouldn't. But the closer I got to the toilet or the drain, the smell started to go away, which is weird. Then I started to realize that it was the hair gel. I took a big whiff of both my palms and almost gagged. It smells of cocoa butter, actually. The smell was indescribable. If I can describe it, it was probably like a combination of bleach, bad car oil, and sewage. Good thing I haven't applied the hair gel to my hair, otherwise I would have to stay home from work and probably shave all my hair off. I admittedly washed my hands with plenty of soap, antibacterial soap even, as well as hand sanitizer for good measure, but nothing helped. I tried multiple times, but the faint smell still lingers. It even overpowers, and it joined forces with the soap scent, making the stench even more confusing. Even my hands felt sticky after washing them many times, feeling like there was still something on the surface of my palm. Was it caulking? Is that what you'd picked up instead of hair gel? Surrendering to the situation, I started to accept that it was my fate to live with this hand condition for the rest of the day. Even the entire time I drove to work, I could faintly smell the stench wafting out of my hands in the car. I'm avoiding any handshakes for the rest of the day, unless it's someone you don't like. Random speculation. Maybe a house guest of mine decided to do the deed into the gel tube as a prank. I don't think it was that. You said you just had a remodel, so it was probably something left over from that. Okay. Story number 2. TIFU by going to see the Aurora Borealis unprepared. This happened 4 days ago. I, 24, heard that I was able to see the northern lights as far south as I am. One of my biggest dreams was to see them, so I jumped at the opportunity. I'd only heard about the phenomena about 15 minutes before I left, so I was in a bit of a hurry. Some context: I live in a city. There was no way I could see them from where I was due to light pollution. However, I'm a delivery driver, and I know some of the darkest places at night around the area. As such, I knew a perfect place to see the lights about an hour out from where I live. As I was in a hurry to see them, I forgot a couple of things. First, I forgot my diabetic pump, which was on the charger and was low on battery. I'm a type 1 diabetic, and my pump delivers me constant insulin to regulate my blood sugar. Without it, I can go a couple of hours without being tremendously sick, but after that, things can get bad. Look up diabetic ketoacidosis, or DKA, for more info. Luckily, I was planning on getting back to my apartment in a couple of hours, so it was not a big concern. My second mistake was leaving with my phone at 15%. I was able to take some photos, but not much else before my phone died. R.I.P. As I was leaving due to having no charge in my phone, I drove a quarter-mile out until I was having trouble with my radio. Usually I have Bluetooth to play my music, but with my phone dead, I tried to switch to the radio. My audio system was bugging out, so I decided to turn the car off and back on to see if that would help, like it had in the past. To my surprise, when I tried to turn the car back on, the no key fob indicator turned on and wouldn't let me turn the car back on. I thought, what do you mean the key fob is in my pocket? Oh no. So it turns out I must have dropped my key about a quarter-mile back. No big deal. I have flashlights in my trunk, 4 to be exact. As I search my trunk, I find that 2 of them have no batteries. One has corroded batteries that won't work, and my dynamo flashlight also doesn't work after I spent 10 minutes cranking it and nothing happening. At this point, I only have one option: approaching someone else in the middle of the night and asking for help. Luckily, there was one car just parked near the location that was also looking at the aurora. I sheepishly went up to the car, trying my best to not look like a serial killer, and explained my situation. Though they didn't have a charger for my phone, they had a flashlight I could use to search for my keys. After 30 minutes of looking, I still couldn't find my keys. At that point, I returned the flashlight and asked to use their phone. I called AAA and requested a locksmith. They said it would probably be a couple of hours until someone showed up, but they would still come out. I sighed in relief and happily returned the phone. The couple that had helped me said they would respond to the AAA dispatchers if they needed assistance finding me, and even took screenshots of the map to give more detail to where I am. I thanked them profusely and returned to my vehicle with the hope that I would be rescued soon. It was already pretty cold, but since I knew I would be rescued soon, I wasn't worried. Dressed for fall weather after all, so there was no reason to worry. After a couple of hours, I started losing hope, along with my body heat. I decided to hunker down and hope that someone was still coming. I grabbed one of my emergency blankets and electric blankets to keep myself warm. I couldn't use the electric blanket in its full capacity since I couldn't plug it in to heat up, but at least it could provide some extra protection against the cold. In the end, I spent the entire night freezing despite my blankets, and only got about 3 hours of sleep at most. I waited and waited until dawn, then looked for my keys and sunlight. I still came up empty, and had to ask another passerby for a ride to civilization. He dropped me off at the nearest gas station, where I had to pay $50 for a charger to finally call anyone who could help me. I called AAA to see what had happened, and it turns out nobody was called out to help. I'd cancel my service if I were you. If I knew that at the time, I would have called friends or family to come get me. But I was told someone would help me soon, so I didn't think about it. In all fairness, being cold and desperate will make you forget basic solutions to your situation. At this point, I was also quite sick due to my high blood sugar, but luckily I was able to get back home, grab my pump before I figured out this mess, thanks to my godmother picking me up. After a freezing night and $50 less, I was finally able to get back home, grab my other keys, and bring my car back home. Also, I didn't have my apartment keys since they were with my car keys. So I had to enter my apartment through one of my windows. I'm just glad I live on the first floor. My window is still broken. It needed fixed before this. I'm just glad this all happened before it did. But at least I'm able to relax with my kitties again, and now know to put some batteries in my flashlights. Okay. Oh, I'll just add, someone in the comments on Reddit mentioned maybe a metal detector, if you remember roughly where you parked. Wouldn't be a bad idea, actually. I'd encourage you to do that. I think you can rent them, although they might not be that expensive. I've never actually looked into it. Okay, story number 3. Story number 3. TIFU by getting a filling done without any numbing or local anesthesia by miserable Speed8861. Edit. Yes, my dentist is also my uncle. I didn't think it would be important to the story and might have switched to uncle midway through. Obligatory didn't happen today, but 2 weeks ago. I book an appointment to get a tooth filling. So I arrive at the appointed date and wait to get called in. It's important to note that I did no research on how the procedure is done or any care for it. I get called in, walk in and have some small talk with my dentist, who is also my uncle, before getting to the actual doctory questions. Here's a snippet of the important part. Have you gotten any sensitivity on the tooth? No, I actually don't feel any sensitivity. Okay, it doesn't look that deep. So, do you know what material you'd prefer or what type of numbing you'd want? Oh, material. Any's okay. I honestly don't think I'll need any type of numbing. You said it's not that deep, and I don't like injections. My uncle dentist then said, okay, are you sure about the numbing? Yeah. Okay. Cue the start of the procedure. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, why are people scared of dentists? It's super chill. I've never had any bad experiences. He starts drilling my tooth and I'm like, yeah, right, I was right. No pain. Continues drilling. 1 second passes, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. The last thing I hear is him saying, it actually looks a bit deep, then it hits me. The worst pain I've ever felt in my life. I flinch and pull away. I already have tears in my eyes. I regret everything. I want to cry. Why did I do this to myself? Do you need any numbing? Says my dentist. He pulls out the biggest injection I've ever seen. I hate injections. After that pain, it feels like a pinch. He gives it a few minutes to set. I get the procedure done. I still feel the lingering pain when he drills my tooth. Oh, you always feel a bit, but still it's better than having no numbing at all. I'm honestly half scared, half expecting pain. 2 weeks later, I'm back in the chair for a checkup. The sound of the drill makes me flinch. I have music on blast to distract myself. I get it. The whole scared of dentists thing is so real. Well, I think the lesson there is listen to your uncle next time. He was trying to tell you. TIFU by not researching how to inject properly. This isn't the uncle side of the story. By Le Sad Sky. For context, I've finally gotten hands on a medication I need. Unfortunately, it is in liquid form, in breakaway vials, supposed to be injected intramuscularly. I also have some experience with injections, but it's been years since then. Now to the story. I had a break between lessons, so I decided to inject it during the break. I grabbed all my supplies, went to the bathroom and started. Unpacked the syringe, got the needle, and now the vial. I was struggling to open it because I didn't notice a marking of direction of breaking. After struggling for quite a couple of minutes, I used a tiny bit more force than I should have, and the top of the vial outright exploded in my hand. The vial was small, but it made sure to get many glass shards into my finger and hand. Ouch! and half of the vial content, 0.5 mil out of 1 mil, spilled on my leg. I didn't have the supplies to clean up the mess, so I continued as if nothing had happened, even if it hurt a lot. I drew what was left into the syringe. My hands were shaking by that point, so I could barely draw it. After a couple of more minutes of struggling, I managed to do it. Next step was actually injecting it. Due to the previous struggles with drawing, the needle got really dull. I picked out the area of injection, sterilized it, but the needle refused.
No, I don't wanna.
It was just too dull. I couldn't take it. Was almost crying. So I texted my friend who was next door to help me out. She came in, saw me, thighs covered in blood from my right hand and a bit of oil from the medication. I was so embarrassed explaining what the hell happened, and I felt so unbelievably stupid for forgetting how to do injections and missing some signs that I am doing it wrong. But it doesn't end here. She, while inexperienced with needles, didn't have shaky hands, so she knelt in front of me for better access to the injection area, the thigh, and went in. It hurt like hell due to the dullness of the needle and the length going all the way to the quadriceps. The fact that I am a little scared of needles made me really red and make noises of fear and pain. Alas, at the same moment a teacher walked in to use the restroom. What did she see? A student kneeling in front of another student with her pants down with a bloody palm and thighs, while making noises that could have two meanings. At this point I wanted to cease to exist, but the teacher was understanding and nice, and gave me some more band-aids to patch up my hand. The lesson: pay attention and do it properly, and use a separate needle for drawing and injecting. And also, never do it at school like I did. That's probably all good advice. The fifth and final story for today. TIFU by setting my marriage date to Friday the 13th. By Vajhar. Not actually today, but roughly 2 years ago, my now wife and I were finalizing our marriage plans and finally setting a date for the marriage. After some back and forth, we figured it would be fun to marry on Friday the 13th if such a date was available. She has long lived in a house numbered 13 and claimed 13 to be her lucky number, so I thought it to be funny to pick the cursed date as our joint lucky day. We wanted to marry in the late summer of 2024, and as luck would have it, the 13th of September happened to be a Friday. She quickly checked her calendar, which had nothing marked for that date, and asked me if I knew of any fixed plans for September 13th. Now, I didn't used to keep a detailed calendar, and since she already checked for joint plans, I couldn't think of anything important happening in the summer and told her it would be free. Right there was my first mistake. I didn't even pick up a calendar and just checked in my mind for anything happening in September, which in my mind had to be the 7th month, since septa equals 7. No, I didn't count the months. I just went off my intuition. But with nothing knowingly planned, we confirmed the date, booked the location and caterer, and continued planning. A few weeks later, my wife and I were invited to a family getaway with my side of the family. Just a fun weekend in the Belgian countryside, hiking and playing games with my family, which would be the perfect opportunity to announce our plans and hand out the STDs. I'm going to assume that means something else in this context, which my wife designed herself and was rightfully very proud of. Save the date. There we go. During that design process, I again missed a chance to spot my error. Only looking over the cards and praising her choices, not double-checking the date because, of course, my wife wouldn't pick the wrong date. My family was confused but slightly amused. Why out of all the available dates would we pick this one? Guessing the confusion was stemming from the odd day selection, I explained our reasoning, which found acceptance, until my mom had an important detail to add. Also, it's my birthday, so I'm getting a daughter-in-law as a birthday present." My wife was rightfully shocked, while I tried to double down, saying my mother's birthday was on the 13th of the 9th, much to the amusement of my family, and learned that September was indeed the 9th month of our calendar year. After some further confirmation, we established my mother had no problem with putting her birthday in the shadow of our wedding, and was happy for us to pick such a special date. Well, I hope everything else went off with just the one hitch. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Big thanks to everyone who allowed me to use their stories. If you'd like to support the channel, you can sign up for my Patreon page for $1 or more a month, and you get early access to all the videos on Monday. That's linked down in the description, as is my merchandise store, which is currently hosted on Teespring. But I've got a feeling their days are numbered just as soon as I find a modicum of willpower. But for now, it's on Teespring. You'll also find my email address if you need to contact me. That's kingofthecities@gmail.com. If you need to send in a story, if you would like a shout out, or if you have any business related inquiries, send them all there. And also my Discord and Threads if you want to take a look at those. It's getting late, so there'll be no question of the day right now. So until next time, thank you very much for watching, and take very good care of yourselves. Also, incidentally, I made tea, which causes so chilly. It's half cold now, but somehow the little tab ended up in the cup, and I don't like drinking when that happens. Yeah, it's probably fine. I mean, anyway, take care of yourselves.